Man, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, man, that was a great intro. That's the first time I've got a chance to use that. Thanks to Mr. Randy Newton for helping me out with that. I hope we're live. I hope you can hear me. Flip over in the comments and somebody throw some shout outs if you don't mind. We've been out for about 3 weeks, and sorry that we've not had our attorney talk. My wife had knee replacement, and I've been playing Mr. Mom, and but now I'm going to try to get back in the saddle and get this thing going. Anybody throw some shout outs? I see 5 people on. I don't have any comments yet, whether they can hear me or not. Anybody out there? 9 people waiting on a comment or two. Make sure everybody can hear me. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and bring in our guest. He is, there's some comments. Thank you, Kayak Fishing Texas in the house. Loud and clear. Thanks, Greg. Just before I bring in the guest, just let you guys know, TourneyX, we've got some new updates on the website. We got new updates in the app. Some of you have already gotten the new app, got the new downloads for that. This weekend is a big weekend. People starting off. We got the Hobie series. We had the Bass series last weekend. Got Hobie kicking off at Toledo Bend this weekend. Actually, Kayak Anglers of Florida is going to kick off their event this weekend, and it's going to be a good weekend. Too bad, but I'll just be hanging out here watching the leaderboard, which is cool. So I am going to bring in my guest and figure out how to make this happen. And here he is, Mr. Randy Newton from Kayak Anglers of Florida, is going to be on with us tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, sir. Thank you for having me.
Man, I tell you what, that intro gave me goosebumps. Okay, I appreciate you doing that. I really, really do. Look, I still have them. They're still right there. But listen, man, I appreciate you've helped me to get this thing kicked off and going. I appreciate what you do. You're always willing to help everyone. And we all appreciate that so much, man.
Well, it's one of the things that I enjoy about this industry is that being able to help everybody, whether it's with social media, whether it's with video, or even with fishing. It's my privilege and honor to be able to help others. So I take it upon as an awesome deal to deal with.
I'm trying to figure out when it was that we first met. I don't remember when. It's been probably at least 4 years, 5 years, maybe.
It's actually been a lot longer than that, because we first met at ICAST many years ago when I was with Heroes on the Water. So we're talking 10 years ago. We started talking about trail series and kayak tournaments in the state of Florida, and we had the opportunity to just stand in the aisleway and do business like everybody else does business at ICAST. And I got to pick your brain about the platform and how to do things. And then shortly after that, we started with our very first small tournament down here in Florida, and was working with other clubs and doing different events then. So yeah, it's been about 10 years now that we kind of think about it. But
I don't even remember. I'm sorry. It's just things just go so fast that, there's so many people that we talk to on a daily basis. Man, I woke up this morning and I was just saying the other day how I don't get a lot of calls. There's certain days, and I don't know if this happens to you or not, but there'll be a week and you won't hear from no one for a week. And then all of a sudden it's like everybody wakes up and says, oh, let's call now, or let's message, let's text. I've got, and it's like 20 messages. And right then you have personally other things you need to be doing, and it's like, holy cow, how am I going to juggle all this?
That's the unique privilege that we have as being the leaders in our areas of what we deal with, whether it's tournament directing, management, or just teaching people. You'll have those days. You'll have those days that you'll be able to sit back and relax and be like, oh, it was nice. I didn't get a phone call today. And then it's like the next day is the hammer gets dropped and everything explodes, or there's 100 questions about the same thing. And yet you still pick up the phone, you answer it, and you kind of make it happen. Like right before this phone call, right before this show, there was a phone call that came in of talking about some of the questions for the weekend, and, fire them off real quick and get it answered and get on the show. And it's just what we do. That's how we deal with it.
And you just had a show, right? Did you just come off your show?
Yes, we just got done with our show. We had we were talking about Yak Attack products and how it's all customizable and utilize and do different things for different setups. And we just got done talking about that and a little bit about our event Saturday. And yeah, that was a half hour, 45-minute show already.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man. I know it's short notice when I text you the other day. I says, "Hey, man, can you come online and visit with us this week?" And then I've got to think, wait a minute, you're East Coast time, I'm Central, and we're trying to figure out, okay, yours starts then. Let's do this. Okay, we'll just push it 30 more minutes past, so we're good. It is 9 o'clock there on the East Coast time, and we appreciate people that's still awake listening. Um, let's go back and find out. I want to know a little bit about Randy. Okay, I want to know. I want the anglers, and the public to know a little bit about you and how it all started for you. And I asked this question. I like to go into this particular question because people want to know. Hey there, hey Frank, how you doing, buddy? People want to know about these directors. They want to know, how did you get to this role? Where did it start from? When did you go? I want to know all these things if you don't mind. So just fill
Yeah.
us in, start to finish. Like when you were a kid, how did this all start?
Well, actually, when I was a kid, I never even picked up a fishing rod other than like once in a while we go out on a fishing trip on vacation and do something like go to a pay pond in North Carolina and throw out some feed and catch some fish and pull them in the basket. That was what we considered fishing when I was a kid. And then as I got out of the Marine Corps and got done traveling the world, went back to Ohio and I said, you know what? I don't want to stay in Ohio. It's too cold. It's nasty. I don't want to deal with that. So I moved to Florida. And then all of a sudden, the fishing bug kind of started. The hunting bug, which was really strange, the hunting bug started in Florida also. And that's like hunting. What do you hunt for in Florida? Well, hogs, ducks, and deer if you go farther up north. And so that kind of started down in Fort Myers, Florida. And then I met my amazing wife. And many years later, 4 boys, and going through transition, moving from Fort Myers to Fort Lauderdale, got the opportunity to basically start fishing. And it was weird because my wife and I, we were just sitting by a campfire the other day. She goes, remember when you didn't even want to like touch the hook and take the hook out of the fish's mouth and all those crazy things. And it's the truth. I was like, she's right. I would sit there and I'd stomp on it and try to pull the hook out of the fish. And then, I learned about, doing things right and taking the hook out right and getting better at it. And then I had the opportunity of meeting up with some awesome people, just kayak fishing. And that was Heroes on the Water. And, that's history after that. I mean, it just that opened the door wide open for me when I got to work with Heroes on the Water and do the East Coast from Florida all the way to Maine and all the way over to Mississippi and help develop chapters and organize the groups and the organization and be with John and it was just awesome. And that's what started to feed my and my love and passion for what we do now. After while I was working with Heroes on the Water, I was working with other clubs to run tournaments. I was judging fish. I was setting up and helping them, Florida bass paddlers when they were around here. We did the South Florida chapter of Heroes on the Water. Many other organizations try to get started down here in the state of Florida. And then everything kind of like people started moving. They would go and they'd move. Jason Broach was a great advocate for Florida fishing down here, and now he moved out. And so then the process went away, and so I looked at it as an opportunity to start a fishing club in Florida. So I started with the South Florida Kayak South. Oh my gosh, I almost can't even say it anymore. SoFlo KBF, the South Florida Kayak Bass Fishing. Started out with that club, and we kind of grew it. We used to do little Calcuttas. We go to a place and say, "Hey, we're going here Saturday. Come bring $20, and we're the biggest fish takes the pot." And we started to build a little bit of a base of diehard members, and through that, turned into tournaments. So now we're doing monthly tournaments. We're doing once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on the type of year and the season. And then Will gets a hold of me one time, Will Mansfield, and he goes, "Hey, why don't we start a trail in the state of Florida?" And I was totally against it. I did not want to do this. So he convinced me. He set me down at ICAST 1 year. This was 3 years ago, actually 4 years ago now. 3 years ago, sorry. he sent me down to ICAST and says, "This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to help you run it, and I'm going to be the tournament director for it." And I'm like, "Okay, listen, if you're willing to take the load of being the tournament director and run this thing, we'll put it underneath the flag of Kayak Anglers of Florida." And he goes, "Okay." So we started it, an eight stop trail once a month, second Saturday of every month. We would go throughout the entire state of Florida and fish, and it worked. We're like, "Oh, awesome." I mean, we're not talking like crazy amounts of numbers. We're just
Right.
talking anywhere between 15 to 20 anglers meeting up, going and
Yeah,
having
but
a fishing tournament.
consistent. It was
Yeah,
consistent. Yeah,
consistent.
good. That's what you need. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and so as that started to go, the next year we're like, "Oh, there's some more anglers." So now it's no longer 15 to 20 anglers. Now it's like 30 anglers consistently the next season. And we're like, "Okay, you know what? This is going well. We've crowned we crowned one champion that won twice back to back. We crowned a female angler of the year. So we're starting to do what other clubs are doing throughout their states, and now we're starting to do it in the state of Florida, and now building a reputation. And now we've got 120 anglers on paper. We are now averaging 50 anglers per event.
Wow.
It is, we're still traveling the state, so we'll be way down south, and then we'll go way up north. We make it difficult for a reason. We do it during different times of the season, so that way it doesn't make it like pristine in one area and then not another. It's hot conditions sometimes down here in Florida, so half of our events are hot and awful, and you want to be
Mhm.
off the water by 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it's really grown, and we're really excited. The anglers really enjoy it. They love the anglers who are participating. People are coming in. We're starting to get more and more anglers coming in to the group. They're starting to realize, oh, they've been here for 3 years. They're not joking. They're going to stay here.
Mhm.
And it's always been one of the things in the past is like they'll have an event and then there'll be another event, and it would just kind of fade off in the distance. Well, we're here to stay now, and so it's turned into a really nice, rewarding trail. And now we've got a lot of grassroots anglers that we call grassroots that are starting to
Mhm.
expand and go into KBF and Hobie BOS. And we're proud to see our anglers from Florida start to make a move and get in there. Traveling's not always our strong suit in Florida, but
Mhm.
they're getting better, and they're starting to climb up some of those leaderboards and ranks, and it's good to see those anglers moving on.
Isn't it fun to see your anglers that you've kind of saw in the beginning start with you, and then next thing you see, they're over there at the wherever either one of the Hobie TOCs or the
Hmm.
Bassmaster Classic or just something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or KBF, whatever. They're out there and they're doing so well and they're competing and they're winning and it's like, yeah, I remember that time.
Well,
He started with us.
I always go back because I always remember it's a learning process for them. And for us in the state, not having something like this and always doing monthly challenges and now having live competitive events makes it more challenging for them. So they can get those nerves out of their system. They can start to figure out their routines. They can do proper hand placements and not have hands, or do proper images and submissions. And having the capabilities of just being able to teach that to them has been
Right.
very rewarding. And now to see them going up and top tens and national championships and stuff like that, it's pretty awesome.
So that brings up a point. So one of the reasons that I came up with Tourney Talk was to sit down and talk to a lot of our directors. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. That was, we talk to the anglers. We love our anglers. We love following them. We like seeing how well they do. But the unsung heroes are actually, what to me are the directors. They don't you don't know them. You don't see them. They're behind the scene. They're always judging fish. They're always do this, do that, go here, go there. We're setting this tournament up here. We're taking care of these permits, blah, blah, blah. What kind of advice would you give? I like asking, what kind of advice would you give to these new directors that are coming up that, you see new ones come on and they're like, oh, I want to start a new trail and I want to do this, I want to do that. And then, but what kind of, you think back to the time you started, and I know it was scary, should have been, it could have been, but what kind of advice would you give them?
Patience. It's not going to be 150 anglers in the first event. You've got to sit back and just realize if it's one angler at your event, 5 anglers, or 50 anglers, or hundreds of anglers at your event, there's a process that it takes to get there. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes before the anglers ever show up for your event. And you've got to be willing to bite the bullet and just be patient at it, because it's going to be long, grueling work setting up the tournaments, going to places, figuring out where you want to have the events, and then contacting your anglers to get them there. Not all of them are going to show up. It's nice to have 10 good buddies that you know are going to always be at your event, but they've got to start asking their buddies and other buddies and going on forums and saying, hey, here's an event that you need to do. So and then on top of that, having good support staff with you. Like, I've got great guys that work with me. I've got one gentleman who, Chris, he does all of the rules and standards. And if there's some sort of funky thing in our rules, he's the one that goes through, fix it, and then brings it up to the angler's attention. Ryan is our tournament director for the trail series, and he does all the crazy phone calls and answers everything. And they work really, really hard, and they do it all out of one, support for me, and then at the same time they do it out of the love because they love what they're doing. It's hard being a tournament director and getting a phone call at 2:00 in the morning. I heard this on the live feed, but what does this actually mean? Yeah. But yeah, patience and just being able to be the face of the organization. You have to be out there. You have to be out front, moving the ball forward, getting the sponsors and getting them, getting the locations and making it very desirable for the anglers to want to be there. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it. A lot.
Some of the things I think of is transparency, being honest, be upfront with your anglers, let them know, this is what we're going to do. This is what we have in mind to do. You don't try to be the dictator. Don't try to force them into something they don't want to get into. That's some of the things that I've learned over the years, is that you have to put it out there and then discuss it and get that consensus, because if you don't get that, then it's not going to work.
Well, and you have to remember too, it's not going to be right the first time.
No.
You're going to mess up. Something's going to be wrong.
You got to be able to call an audible. You've got to be able to make changes. It's part of it. Even though they're hard to make those changes that are in the mid-stroke, a lot of people say, create your rules, but stick by them for the whole year. And I get that. That's great. But don't ever put them out there till you've got a good set.
Right. Yeah.
And then hopefully you won't have to change anything.
Hopefully you don't have to. But I mean, even then, something happens. You have an event, and the angler that wins the event doesn't want the points and doesn't want the accolades for getting the thing. So he's like, go ahead and roll everything down. Well, then that messes something else out. And so, you just got to you don't think about those things until it happens. And then you're like, oh, wow, that's actually a legitimate thought process. Like, why did we do that? What was the purpose of that? And everything has a 3-step process after you've already done it. So gotcha. you got to follow through. You got to be transparent on it. You've got to make it very clear. And you've got to tell everybody exactly what it is that's kind of happened, so that way everybody can learn and grow from it, and gotcha. not just shut it back, say this is it, this is the final rule, this is the final say. So you got to teach everybody.
You had mentioned earlier about having a great support staff. This past week I had a call from a director, and in the beginning it's like, oh, I want to help. I want to do this. I'll do this. And you go, so you say, okay, well, say there's 3 people right in this, just get an idea if there's 3 of you. And then I'm going to do this. You got a director, then you got a guy with the rules, and you got this to do this. Well, I heard from him that it's kind of falling apart. So it's like everybody wants to step up and help, and then all of a sudden it's like, then they don't. And that really stinks. But just know that if you're going to go full board into this, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, you're committing to help these anglers do these things. So, it's, so it's just a commitment, and you got to follow through.
there's opportunity. There's going to be a time that it all unravels. It happens no matter what, whether you're starting out, whether you've been around for 5 years, and then something's going to unravel, and leadership changes. We're pretty big on trying to rotate our leadership out. I mean, obviously, I'm going to always still be the spearhead for the organization, but we try to change out our positions so that way they don't get tourney director burnout, or
Or
they don't get
stale.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't get stagnant in it, and then they get lazy in it, and then it gets harder to make a decision. You know, it's grueling to answer phone calls while you're trying to fish. We all know that. It's one of the worst things in the world. You're getting a phone call during the tournament. You're out on the water trying to do the same thing, and now we have rotations, and everything's all about spreading the load so it's not so overbearing on everybody else. And you'll eventually find the team that gels and mixes together. And sometimes you can keep that team together for the long haul. And sometimes that team won't stay together for the long haul. Maybe you'll
Hmm.
get one person that wants to move on, and they want to focus more on their fishing career instead of being a tournament director. Or they want to go off and they want to start traveling the country and doing more of the national trails. And who am I to say no?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not my
Right.
decision. And I mean, do I feel a little bit needy and greedy when it comes to that? Oh yeah, I do. I'm human being, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I want them to grow and mature and do their
Right.
thing.
Right.
And it's not for me to hold them back saying, hey, no, you can't do that. You got to finish out the commitment. No, you know what? It's the reason I'm the leader. I have to be able to lead from the front. If something can't be picked up and can't be taken care of by the
And you
individual,
take. Yeah.
I need to take the lead
Hmm.
and see the need and take the lead on it.
So you were. So you're originally from North Carolina? Is that what you
No, I'm
said earlier?
originally from Columbus,
Oh,
Ohio.
Ohio. That's right. That's right. Where did North Carolina? Because I heard North Carolina there for a second.
That is where my family is actually from, in
Okay.
Murphy, North
Okay.
Carolina, close to the
Okay.
Cherokee Indian Reservation.
Oh, cool. Okay. So I always know this. I know this is serious, but it's kind of funny. But every time a hurricane comes in, I hear you bugging out and heading to Alabama. That must be some family up that way. Or you just, you
Oh,
know,
guarantee I'm out. Done.
you should
I
just move to Alabama. I don't know. I don't get it. You'd be closer to us. I come
I'm
fish with
telling you
you.
right now, that could be a possibility in the future. We just don't know when that future is going to be.
Hey, there's
But
some good hunting up there too, by the way.
yeah, I got my
See?
fill on Thanksgiving. So yeah, that. But you know what? We are always willing, because you know what? Because of my wife's job, it allows her the opportunity to be the mobile command center in Alabama. And
Mhm.
if something goes down, if something happens down here, she can still control things, and that makes things a lot easier for her job.
Good. Well, it's good you guys can have that versatility to get out if you need to, and
Yeah.
bug and go, and still be able to operate, so to speak.
That,
So,
and it still allows me to go fishing, hunting, and do everything else while everybody else is miserable in the hurricane.
so are you guys bass only, or what are you? Peacock, bass, snakehead? I know you do a lot of snakehead fishing.
So I love snakehead fishing. That's my specialty. That's my expertise. That's what I love to
Mhm.
go for. But we are a bass only tournament
Okay.
through the whole state of Florida. But we do have special events like in our off season. We take a couple months and then we start back up. So our season runs November through August. We take a couple months and we kind of chill, do a Calcutta or so, and we'll go snakehead for one event. We'll go peacock for another. We'll do something fun and just relaxed. But uh, we'll do a quick little 1 day Calcutta, and biggest fish wins it all type of deal.
Now, do you do a whole lot of saltwater, inshore saltwater, anything down there? Is there's really no?
You know what? There is so many amazing series down here.
Are there
We have the extreme tournament that is out in the ocean, open
south?
water.
Right.
We have amazing redfish tournaments on the West Coast and up in Jacksonville and stuff like that. So we just don't mess with those. We stay strictly freshwater, and that's our niche.
Okay. Okay. Because I think I've been here, but I don't think they're coming down that far down. But I think there's maybe a redfish series coming up, which is kind of cool. They're talking about doing a couple of the along the coast states, between Texas and Florida. Well, who knows? I
Right.
mean, it's going to be kind of cool. But I didn't know if you guys did any of those type of events or not. So
Yeah, you know what? There's so many different things that deal with saltwater that on top of that, I just don't like going in the ocean. It's not
Okay.
my thing,
Okay.
Not my thing. It's not my thing, but everybody goes and does it sometimes, so it's up to them.
So are you still with Heroes on the Water or not?
No, I
Let's
am
see.
not. No, I
Okay.
am
Okay.
not.
Because I know you mentioned John a while ago. Most people don't know who John is. I'm assuming you mean John Dolan,
Yes, sir.
the godfather of Heroes on the Water, and he passed several years back, and I'll never forget that day. And
Did I say John? It's actually Jim.
Jim,
I
why do I
I
say
have deep
John? It's
why
Jim Dolan. Why'd
yeah,
you say
why did
John?
I have no clue why I said that.
But you
I
did
actually
say John because
apologize.
I wrote it down and I was like, wait a minute, is that John? Or now that you say it, I'm like, oh
Jim.
crap. So let's
Yeah.
scratch that.
Scratch all that.
So
Erase it.
sorry, Jim.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember meeting Jim at one of the KBF national championships. Probably one of the first time I met Jim, and then Jason Austin and a lot of those guys for Heroes on the Water. Some super good people. They really are.
Yeah.
And I actually videotaped. This is Jim came down with his wife to Ride the Bull, which is hosted in Louisiana. And I got to videotape his wife catching one of her first bull reds. And hey, cool. My wife would like that. So it's
sorry about that.
That's no problem. We got one. That's why my door's shut. But yeah, Jim was fishing. They were right beside us. It was me. It was myself, Jason Austin, Jim Dolan, and his wife. And we all got in a batch of bull reds out. We were probably about 18, 19 feet of water, I guess, out in the pass. And they were running they run through in big schools. So if one hooks up, generally there's going to be like 3 or 4 that hook up. So I caught one, she caught one, and we were all videotaping everything. So it was cool. But anyway, good memories.
That was one of my intro into the industry. It was my intro into understanding, getting sponsors and getting donations and getting things like that. So it was a great and amazing learning opportunity, and I'm thoroughly grateful for being part of that because I learned organization, how to put 100 people out on the water, how to do different things, and it just gave me so much of the background knowledge that I have in this industry, and I am always 100% grateful for what Heroes on the Water not only did for me, but does for all of our veterans and disabled veterans too.
That's awesome, man. So where is KAF going now? What do you see in the future, man? I mean, I know it's just fishing, but what do you think?
Yeah, we're actually having our very first open event where it's not even a members required thing. Anybody can go to this event. It's going to be held on Lake Seminole. So that's in March. Beautiful time to be there. Perfect time to be on Lake Seminole. And we're that's uncharted territory for us, having an open where it's not the member led, it's not anything like that. So we're just kind of like, it's uncharted territory for us because we're always used to having members. We're used to having, the guarantee of what's going to happen, who's going to be there. So we're testing the waters on opens and seeing how that's going to work. And then we're debating on whether or not we might extend our season because, we get to fish all year round.
You suck. I don't know, man. I'm in Mississippi. It does get cold here, but we could fish all year round if we wanted to. But now in the past month, it's been pretty brutal here.
Yeah, it's been brutal here. So we still have our times when it's not comfortable. We got to don the big heavy jackets and the bib overalls and stuff like that just to be out on the water with winds at 30, 40 miles per hour. And it's just not. So we're debating on, maybe we started at a different time and see how it works, but we're still working on that. And then continuing doing these shows. What are we doing next? How are we going to help the industry out? Are we going to continue? Are we going to get a new format in our show, start a new show? This industry is growing leaps and bounds just because of videos. And it's helping us get massive amounts of information out to our anglers throughout the state. So
that's good. Well, why would you go all the way to Seminole for an open? I mean, that's a long way just to test the waters for an open.
Because we wanted to put it in a location to where we can get some Georgia boys, we can get some Alabama, we can get everybody kind of like get it started a little bit. So we're actually calling it the Battle of the Border.
Okay.
And
Okay.
everything's got to have a cool name. So Battle of the Border, Florida Georgia line, and let's just see how it works. See the involvement and see how everybody can get in on it. So it's uncharted for us. Like I said,
Okay.
it's new. Everybody's been asking if we were going to have something like that, and we've kind of put it off. Just like when I started this thing, the trail series, put it off for a little bit, and now see how it works.
I assume that will be on TourneyX or not.
Everything's on TourneyX. We don't have
Sweet.
anything off of TourneyX.
Okay, just curious. I'm trying to think of something. I'd love to come, man, because I'm trying to figure out how far that is from here. It's about 6 hours, but
Yeah. So the unique the thing about, and the reason why we love using online platform like TourneyX is because unfortunately that is the one event that I cannot be at. So I'll be the one at home manning the ship, doing all the judging, doing all the back end work, and taking care of getting that event to go. Because of COVID, we have we were able to adjust very quickly. And when everything kind of went down, even though COVID was happening, we still had our trail series all the way through COVID. And we had just started, we just launched it, and then all of a sudden this thing hits, and we're like, oh man, what are we going to do? And we changed our whole entire format. We were doing massive group meetups as a
gatherings.
captain,
Yep.
at the captain's meeting, and obviously that wasn't going to happen. So we did our captain's meetings we changed our captain's meetings to Thursdays. We do a 1 hour and a half show, get all the information, take mandatory attendance and everything, and then we just send the anglers, they can go to any ramp on the lake, kind of like
Okay.
some of the bigger national events do.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, because you still couldn't have a meetup afterwards and have a gathering more than 5 people at the time down here. And so then we moved our award show to Tuesdays. So we do it live on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out great for us, and it still works out great for us. It's awesome because anglers can go to the captain's meeting on Thursday, then they can go to their area. If they live close to it, then they can go and just go to the water, or anglers can go in and go to the hotel or camp or do things, and it makes it so much easier for us to actually go and do the trail. Is it weird? Yeah, because we don't have the massive amounts of gatherings like you would have. So we might meet up somewhere and have dinner on a Friday night if we're able to, or some of the guys will meet up and camp at the same location, and they'll hang around the campfire there, or go to hotels and hang out and go to restaurants. It's great for all parties, and at the same time, it's great for the tourism, because now they're starting to see us pop around the state, and they're like, oh, hey, how many anglers you bringing in? We can get you in and do things like that. So the communication between cities and entities in the state is starting to pick up, and it's working out a lot better now. So we're getting back to almost, nothing's going to be normal anymore, but
No,
we're getting back to
a new normal.
A new normal of at least starting to see almost everybody when we're out there. So
Right. Right. I hate to say COVID actually helped us, but it did. It really brought, but it helped us. It helped to bring information, education about what we're doing, what we can do in the event of something like this happening. When you can't have gatherings, you can still have tournaments because you're not with it. We're in kayaks. We don't have to be side by side in a kayak, right. So that's the best social distancing there is. You can do virtual meetings, virtual awards, go fish, do your thing, never have to see one another. And so 2020 for us was a really good year. We had a lot of new people come on board. We had a lot of new tournaments. We had a lot of new directors. They were trying to find ways. We had people in Louisiana that never really used us. Bayou Coast, they never used us. And or they used us once or twice, right? Well, they had to totally, just like you said, they had to totally just reinvent and say, whoa, we can't have gatherings anymore. What are we going to do?
Right.
So my phone was ringing like, "Hey, how do we do this?" So it was good for the industry, good for us, uh, bad for people, I guess. But I'm sorry, but it helped. It helped springboard it.
Yeah.
But it also made us smarter in what we're doing to accomplish our goal, which is still get out, fish, and have fun. So
Well, and that's the joy of having being able to fish the way we do is just being able to have the flexibility. You can go, you can set up an event, you can set it up and say, everybody just go to Lake so and so and
mhm.
submit your fish, and you can have an event right there, and not everybody knows what's going on. They just see a massive amount of kayakers. Now, don't get me wrong. When we roll in and there's 50, 60 kayakers, and they're like, "Where all y'all come from?"
Where you come from?
But it's the flexibility that we have is awesome. And don't get me wrong, there's been times during the whole COVID thing where we've had to like totally change lakes or change a location because they're like, no, don't even bring it here. Like,
Yeah,
okay, no problem. That's We've got some of the best fishing in the entire country. We're going to go ahead and move to another lake. That's not going to be an issue.
right.
And the biggest thing for us and being flexible during that was learning more about all the other ways to get into the body of water that we wanted to be on.
Mm,
Whether it is private launches, paid launches, public launches. I mean, it opened a whole nother world of flexibility for us to get anglers out on the water.
cool, cool. Um, so I guess, so do y'all cross over and fish other people's events, or do y'all just mainly stick to your group?
So we have a lot of anglers that fish KBF, Hobie BOS. We've got a
Well, I
lot of
meant
anglers that
local.
do.
I meant like, are there any other? I'm sorry. Let me explain. Rephrase that. In the state, in Florida, like here in Mississippi, there's a northern group. There's a southern group, and we'll go fish their events. Do y'all like
Yeah,
branch out and fish other people's events?
we do. Whenever we hear about an event, we'll go and fish them.
Okay,
There's just not a lot of clubs that's been able to hold their ground through COVID. Like they just
I
dissipated.
see. Yeah,
Some of them just kind of went to the wayside and disappeared. The leadership kind of moved on, and so that was bound to happen during all this.
right.
And whenever something like that comes on, we'll definitely would love to go and hang out with new groups and clubs and organizations. We'd love to hang out with them.
Yeah, that's some of the things that we do here. We have our own group, but we'll venture out, head down. Even like I'll run down to Louisiana and fish to a group, or there's some small 25 angler groups that's out there, and we go down and support those guys, and because they're not like where you got to have a paid membership to get in. You just
Right.
come fish,
Yeah.
pay your money and fish. So let me ask you a question. Is there anything in your mind that you think, or you could think about, that would help anglers and TourneyX? I mean, what feature or any feature? I like to ask these questions because I want to know some feedback, and I know you'll tell me on the side anyway. But anything comes to mind that we could do to help you or the anglers more with our business?
Well, I think the one thing that has helped out tremendously is the check in and out that you guys have now made like a actual very useful tool. We used it. That's how we got in and out of places during COVID, and also through
Okay.
our trail series, is that because I want to make sure that all of our anglers are off the water. And if
Okay.
I don't see something that's funky that somebody didn't check out, then I'm making a phone call. The tourney director is making a phone call. Uh, our rules and standard guy is making a phone call. We're going to get a hold of you one way or the other.
Okay. We
And
just actually last night, just so you know, and I hadn't really put this out for common knowledge, but last night we did a push. When I say a push, that means we've updated code and pushed it out to the website. And so we made a push last night or this morning early that the checkout now will have a box when you're building your event that you can click a box, you check it, and it makes it a mandatory check-in. And we'll send out a push notification 30 minutes prior to the event start that says, if you haven't checked in, you're going to get that push notification. It's going to come to your phone. So if everybody's hearing me or listening to this down the road, turn your push notifications on the phone. If you don't have them turned on, then just delete the app, reinstall the app. It's going to ask you, do you want to allow push notifications? And you tell it yes. So you'll get a push, and it'll say at the top, it says check in, check out. It's letting you know that you need to go check in and check out of that event. And we're doing that 30 minutes prior to the event if you're not in already. If you're still not in, 5 minutes after the event starts, we're going to ask you to do it again. Okay. That's enough for us to ask you to do it. And if you don't do it, and then your tournament director says it's mandatory and he may DQ you or whatever, well, then that's on you.
Yeah.
So we're going to help you, remind you. And then at the end of the event, on the checkout side, I think it's 5 or 10 minutes after the event ends, it's going to pop up and it'll be on your screen to say, hey, go check out. So
I love that. I love that. That's going to help us out tremendously. I mean, our anglers are they've grown accustomed to using that as their main source of communication, letting us know when they're on or off the water. So I like just the push notification that says, hey, there you go. Just make sure you're checked in.
Right.
The other one that I like too, that it's a brand new one, is the lines in, the lines out time, and then still being able to submit afterwards.
It's going to save the director some headache when it's, because we've always, here's the thing. I didn't want to go in and like put a deadline and say lines out of the water that you can't submit after this time. I don't want to, we don't want to do that TourneyX, because what happens if you're on East Coast time, West Coast time, or whatever, or not East Coast, West Coast, but East Coast Central time, right? Just like Seminoles just notorious about that line. If you're on one side or the other, well, here's the cool part. If you submit a fish, and it's time taken, by the way, so if you take a photo of a fish and they give you an hour to submit it afterwards and you submit it, that's fine because you're in that hour. But if it's taken before the line's out of the water, after, then you're going to get a little asterisk that pops up, and it's going to allow the director to say, let me call him and see when he took that photo. You can at least reach out to that person and give him some education and say, okay, lines out of the water means this. It means you can't do this after this time, because he may not know. But I remember way back when this whole thing we're doing here is all about education. And it's a never ending learning process. And it may just be, you may be an old pro at this, and I may be an old pro at this, but there's somebody out there that's not.
Right.
And so we need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if you got an old pro that's screwing up all the time that keeps doing it, that's a different story.
Yeah,
but
that's a whole other story at that point.
Yeah, but we appreciate the acknowledgments that hopefully we're doing some little things that help out.
Well, it's the little things that and when I say it's the little things for the back end of the work is the best part about it, because when you start getting into looking at the pictures and the images, the side-by-side comparison now that you have in there is hands down my favorite tool, because I love looking at side-by-side images and seeing different types of fish or something like that. Now you don't have to have 3 screens open. You don't have to have another screen over here with the app running and then all your pictures saved and copying and pasting and different things. Now you can just look at it in the app and it's like, oh yeah, that's the same fish. So just those 3 adjustments have been already a huge improvement in our capabilities of judging and getting fish scored quicker for the anglers that are out there. And then not to mention, the anglers want to be able to see everything kind of live as it is. And when they start seeing those green check marks on their submissions, that's relieving to me, honestly.
Yeah,
that means that it was done and
it's
checked.
done.
Yeah,
right. And that's a couple things we did on the app, which is, and I encourage all the directors to go out and put your phone numbers, update your profile, your own profile,
right,
and make sure you have your phone numbers in it, because that's where the anglers get their phone numbers. We added if you click the big red X in the app, it opens up an in-app browser and allows you to go in and look and see that the angler can choose the tournament he's in or going into, and he can find that director, and he can email them or he can call them. And communicate and find out what's going on if he needs to. You got your time start, time in, lines out of the water in. We just wanted to make sure that, and we didn't have that before. People were always calling us, man, what time's this tournament? So now what we're seeing is those questions are going away, and now we got newer questions. So it's a never-ending learning battle that we're just going to go through and say, okay, we're just going to keep chopping away at this as we go. So,
well, and it's the club or the organization's responsibility is to start training those anglers to do it the right way. So if they do go off to big national trails or championships, that they can still perform at a high level and not have the issues.
Right.
You know, nothing's worse than going to a big event, and we see it every day. We see it on Facebook all the time. Anglers go to a big event and they get a fish DQ'd, and you know it's anglers' responsibility at that time to make sure that they're doing right, and it's also my responsibility as grassroots to teach them and to do it right to begin with. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, man, I appreciate you coming online tonight. I've enjoyed it. I know more about Randy than ever did now.
Well, there's a lot more you can still learn. I mean, we can do like
I
3 other
know.
shows, trust
I
me.
know.
But
I know.
no, I really enjoy this. I really appreciate TourneyX, and I definitely appreciate everything you and your wife do, man. It's a lot. So my prayers is with her. I know she's going through recovery, and you know, my prayers are with you because you have to deal with
Appreciate it.
recovery.
Well, I mean, I got called in at 2 a.m. this morning. I work a day job, as most people know or don't know. I'm actually a maintenance electrician. I do that. That's my full-time job. So TourneyX is not really the full-time job. It's, you know, but all the phone calls come in and they have to be answered, and they have to be, you know, I have to respond to them, and I do my best. But this morning, I had just gotten in bed. We got in bed about 11:30 last night. Got settled down in our recliners, and at 1:30 this morning, my phone rings, and it's work, the day job. So
Yep.
I went in at 1:30 and got home at about 3 this morning a.m. Finally laid back down, got some sleep. But it's tough, but we're going to get through all this, and she'll be running around here soon and feeling good. So we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely. And I mean, always keep on moving the ball forward and improving and doing something. And if there's any tournament directors that have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me. Hit me up on Facebook, send me an instant messenger, and I will be more than happy to help, let's say, put the brainstorm together and help you come up with an awesome event.
Good deal. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being on here with us.
Always, brother.
All right. Take care. We'll
Have a good
see
one.
you. All right. Bye.
Bye.